and thank you to the commissioners. I had a question that I want to begin with about the U.S. Air Force's announcement in October that it picked Eielson Air Force Base in interior Alaska to host a first of its kind small nuclear reactor. The design, known as a micro-reactor, would reliably generate enough electricity to support round-the-clock operations at this remote but very strategic military base. It's going to be hosting over 2.5 squadrons of F-35s here in a couple months. And I'd like to get, Mr. Chairman, your views on this first, but A, on safety, right? Everybody wants to know about safety. But B, in remote communities in my state and other states that rely currently on fuel delivery, diesel generation, a lot of us see that this kind of micro reactor has potential to provide clean, reliable energy for decades to come. So what's the thinking on these micro reactors, not just the Eielson one, which I'm sure you're involved with, but the potential, and again, safety, but also energy costs. We're all experiencing very high energy costs right now in our country. A lot of it's self-inflicted wounds by the Biden administration. Some of their senior advisors are telling the American people, hey, we're driving up energy costs on your back to, quote, accelerate the transition to renewables. This is Gina McCarthy, not very smart in my view, really hurting American working families. But can you talk about the Eielson microreactor and the potential for remote communities to benefit? One idea that we thought about in Alaska, if you had the microreactor at Eielson, is there a possibility to actually have that not just power the base, but the surrounding communities? Fairbanks, for example, is nearby. And I'd love to hear from all the commissioners. The safety issue is a big one. Obviously, people have concerns about that.
Thank you, Senator. I'll speak to the Air Force part if I could first, then I'll talk more generally. We can all talk more generally about microreactors. I wanted to point out we have a long-standing relationship with the Office of Naval Reactors,
Right.
actually, to review some of their designs and their fuel formulations and so forth.
And by the way, that's an incredible office and legacy that we have in America. Not a lot of people know about it, starting with Admiral Rickover.
Yeah.
Just really remarkable.
Yeah, and now led by Admiral Caldwell,
Yeah.
Of course. Right, and so the NRC has been very pleased to provide, peer review and technical support and so forth. So we haven't heard from the Air Force, to my knowledge, but we'd be happy to do the same for them, and we'll make the appropriate.
Or you think they should be
available.
giving you a call about the Eielson?
Well, we'll leave that. We'll leave that up to them, but
We can help make
we'll answer the call if the phone rings.
Okay.
Certainly. Microreactors themselves are very intriguing because of their small size and in many cases their passive safety features. And as you know, we've got one application in for the from Oklo for a microreactor, and we're actively engaged with them in reviewing that and understanding the safety features that they have with those, in many cases kind of passive safety features, right? It doesn't have as many moving parts, so there aren't as many things to break,
Right.
or pay attention to. And I think the other thing that's interesting across the advanced reactor spectrum is this focus on fuels. So part of what makes microreactors so interesting and viable for remote communities, not that remote, obviously, Fairbanks, we can, is the long-term core. So, you're every day, the reactors in Senator Carper's across the bay there in New Jersey, they'll refuel every 18 months to 2 years, say. Some of these microreactors don't have to be refueled for 10 or even 20 years, depending on the fuel formulation. So that has the potential, as you point out, to bring down the delivered cost of energy, which of course I know is of great concern to Alaskans.
And safety.
And yeah,
Just safety in general on these microreactors. What's your assessment?
we're still looking We still have a number of these concepts under review, so I don't know that I'm ready to make I don't know that we're ready to make a formal declaration, but I think the passive safety features are intriguing and I think hold a lot of promise.
Any other commissioners want to comment?
Yeah, the only thing I'd just add there, and then maybe Commissioner Wright has a point too. This is a big area as we establish the framework for advanced reactors. This is one of the tricky pieces that we need to get right, because the existing fleet, these are really large reactors, right? They're 1,000-megawatt reactors. Now we're talking about designs that are maybe a megawatt, and you're not going to have the same requirements, for a 1-megawatt reactor that's advanced as you would for a 1,000-megawatt light water reactor. And having a rule that can cover the big ones, but also something as small as a microreactor is what the staff is really focused on. And it's tricky because we want to make sure it's open to all the different technologies and the different sizes. And it's different than we have in the existing fleet.
Great. Commissioner Wright, do you have any thoughts on this?
So personally, I'm a real fan of this. Just the idea, intuitively, you would think they're safer. And the jury's still out. We're still, as the chairman said, there's national security implications with this for sure. Benefits for us, as well as if we own it and we sending it out as from us, then we control that, right? There's grid security potential advantages to it. There's reliability, stability, resilience that you can work to, or independence, just like they're trying to do in some of these areas. So I'm looking forward to getting one of these things through the process and letting it get to market. I can't wait for it.